I can also put them up into Salesforce, so I could edit it after the fact, right? Not just have this static lead that came in. I could add the price of the job and follow up with them, add pictures and stuff. It was amazing, right? I was like a single user license of Salesforce, and and then I got involved with ClickFunnels, Russell Brunson. A lot of us have benefited through their teachings, and anyways, I got involved with them. He kind of inspired my love of internet marketing again, and I had finished school as a programmer as well, so I'm coming very strong on the technical side. I don't actually prefer to code. I'd much rather use something like GoHighLevel that just does a lot of that for me. So I ended up finding GoHighLevel, and it has just been game changing. It's all coming to it's all coming to I guess fruition, like everything, all the different skill sets and lead gen and running Google ads, and you guys probably know that I love building on the platform. I love the automations. I love the opportunity. I love the opportunity. I live and breathe this stuff. I have my own little YouTube channel. I'm posting, I think, advanced trainings for people, and it seems like people are enjoying them. And I appreciate Paulson's invitation to speak to you today.
Yeah, so one of the things that happened in our previous lunch and learn, so instead of doing these lunch and learns, what I'm going to do is deliberate intentional master classes, kind of like the Bristol. So that way it's specific to a topic, and I bring in an expert and we just focus in like that. So Dan Doyle actually asked, hey, can you bring in somebody that knows Twilio in and out, that understands the whole setup, understand the different strategies around the Twilio rebilling? And I thought about you, James, and I think I met you years ago in one of the funnel hacking live events in Nashville. And I wanted to just bring you on to just kind of go over Twilio, and I thought it'll be a great resource. So if you can just break down, how is Twilio associated with HighLevel, and why is it needed? Let's start at the elementary level and then go into the advanced level of how you capture rebilling, the right way to set it up, the random things that pop up that everybody gets surprised by, random charges, all these little things.
Yes.
Let's go over all those as well. Anything you can help avoid a lot of those headaches is going to be tremendous for people. So let's start with the beginning stages of why Twilio is needed.
Right. So, oh my goodness, that is a great intro, because GoHighLevel does a lot of different things, but imagine like the history behind the telephony system, right? All the landlines that are out there, all the text messaging, the big players, right? The Verizons, the T-Mobiles, all the landlines. If you've ever like had to look at porting a number, I ported a landline to T-Mobile way back in the day. So there's basically this old existing infrastructure that GoHighLevel is just going to have to tap into. And Twilio came along somewhere along the lines, and they put software in front of some of this stuff, right? So anytime you can put software in front of hardware, it's going to be a game changer, right? So now you're looking at things like SMS and rebilling, and you've heard the Twilio API. You can, now something like GoHighLevel could come along and interface with Twilio and basically leverage their infrastructure. Now, would you like me to go ahead and I've already like brainstormed a bunch of things I'd love to just jump in and share. Should I just jump into it, share my screen and go?
For it. Yeah, there's no formalities. Go for it.
Cool. Oh, sorry, that's probably the wrong screen. Let's see here. Let me share one more time. Okay. Now, can you guys see my SaaS configurator here on the screen? Awesome. Okay, thank you. So we're all in the pro group right now. Hopefully we're either using the SaaS configurator or about to use the SaaS configurator. This is where it begins, right? This is where it starts from. Let me start here. You're familiar with the recommended plans, build your own plan. But right down here is where it starts to get really fun, is you get your telephony resell settings and your email resell settings, okay? So this would be like your Mailgun resell settings. This will be your Twilio rebilling, okay? Now, by default, it is set to 1x, okay? And it's cool here because it shows you this price sheet, essentially, how much it's gonna cost you, how much it costs your customer, And it also gives you, how much will $10 give you, and then your profit.
James,
Okay.
do you mind maximizing that window for us?
No, let me just make it as big as possible. And I can also zoom in on anything if you want me to do like that as well.
That works.
Is
Okay,
that
cool.
better?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we kind of did a poll in the group of like, let's say, well, I don't know what, should I do 3x, 4x, 5x? My gut feeling is that if you don't know what to charge, just charge double, right? At least take some of that markup. That's going to help you pay for the SaaS plan, right? But some of your clients, if they are really big on texting, they're gonna know like maybe what Twilio's charges are, or they're gonna have a sense of whether you're price gouging them. So I wouldn't run it all the way up there, but it just depends on your clientele. But yeah, when in doubt, I just say go 2x, maybe go 3x. It's kind of interesting because I brought on clients before I upgraded. And so I didn't really talk about what my rates were for this. You might be in the same situation. And so then you're kind of stuck in this thing. Well, golly, I can't like after the fact, like start doubling my prices for these Twilio charges. So you kind of want to leave them, kind of grandfather them in on the no markup plan. And then other people, you may want to do a custom pricing. So let me show you where you would go to do, because what you're looking at here is the global, kind of the default global rebilling settings across the board. But of course, there's going to be unique situations where you may want to set that plan one by one. So what you'll do is
specific custom pricing.
Specific custom pricing. So what you're going to do is you're going to make sure you're in the agency dashboard, and you're going to go to accounts, and you're going to basically search for that account. Okay. So there's kind of two mental models of am I looking at an account as an agency owner, or I'm actually going inside of an account, a sub account, as a user. Right now, the mental model we want is I'm looking at this account as an agency owner from the back end. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and search for one here. And some of this is live, this is live customer data. So I just ask your best judgment, not sharing anything you might see here. So right here, basically I went inside of it, and here I could do that same slider for this customer, right? I'll make sure I leave it where I found it there. Okay. And this is also a good place to talk about the wallet. Okay. So instead of because every text is like half a penny, every voicemail is half a cent, however much it is, and you would hate to have all those little charges. So they kind of implemented this wallet system where you can basically put money into it and then slowly subtract out of it, and then eventually, if it hits the threshold, it will rebill the customer. So this customer, the current balance is $3.37, and you can add credits. If I wanted to do that manually, I could come in here and add credits, or I could debit them as well, which would be more rare of a thing.
I have a question for you, James. So when I look at this, it says you have SaaS mode active, but you don't have a SaaS plan enabled, so they're not in a specific monthly subscription.
Right.
But because SaaS mode is active, you're able to take advantage of the billing. Is that right?
That's right. That's a good point. That is a good point. So I'm a big proponent of starting with the 297 plan, getting your feet wet, learning a lot. And then as soon as you're ready, as soon as that's paying for itself, upgrade to the pro plan, right? And so this client was on the 297 plan with me, and I kind of had to do a one-off situation in that way. So you can activate SaaS mode without having them tied to a subscription. Going forward, though, that would be automated. So yeah, that's your wallet. Now, we can also go in here and see what does it look like if I've logged, now I'm actually in as the company. So the company, that's actually, his real card and everything. You can see the payments going through. This is where he could,
So the mental model here that you're showing is
yes,
as a user for the customer.
that's right. This would be yeah, I'm actually, you can see, I'm logged in as the sub account now.
Right.
Up here on the left. So I'm actually, this is a screen that the user could come in and change his credit card, right? He could add money to his wallet.
Okay.
And he can also set the threshold of when to recharge. If you're cruising through your credits pretty fast, a $10 charge after a while, it's, let's just go up to 50 or 100. Now this is called rebilling, right? And so some people are like, what does it actually look like? What does it actually look like day to day? And I've got a few examples here. So, and I'll have to probably zoom in on this for you. Can you see these? Can you see these here? Example rebilling payments. So I get these emails, and it says, "Hey, $10.55, $10, $10.50." Then we change the wallet to $50. Okay, so it wouldn't charge them as often. And then $147, that's actually the SaaS payment. So the SaaS is the same billing that is tied up to pay for the month-to-month SaaS is the same billing that runs on the rebilling. Also, someone asked, do you see a separate charge for Mailgun? Do you see a separate charge for Twilio? And as far as I know, that the Mailgun and the Twilio is combined. It's really cool that you can actually see line by line the usage. If I can find one here. So I'm a mental model again. I'm in this account. See details. Let's look at that. So this, if you've never been in here, this is where you can literally see. I mean, what is in here, and you can literally see like the text message that was sent. And that's actually a good point too. You'll see different pricing because obviously the longer those messages are, the more they cost, right? They do it in segments, is what Twilio calls them. Exactly how many characters, I don't know, but you can see here that some of these are 0.03 cents, $0.03, so 3 pennies, and other ones are half as much, so 0.0158. And that's just because that text message was relatively pretty small. Okay, so it adds up. It depends on the volume that you're doing, but hey, if you can make it shorter, be more succinct, that you might save them money. Now, as the math technical nerd, I was like, okay, so what am I seeing here? This price 0.0158. What was the price I told them in that configurator, right? So 0.0158. If I go over here, there it is, right? Text message, charge to customer, 0.015. And I guess they rounded to the 100th place. So that all added up. I drag the slider to 2x, and then I go into what they can see, and it all matches up, right? Let's see here. I was going to show you. Okay, so the other aspect of the rebilling is the fact that I'm still getting payments. So this is what it looks like here. When I get paid from my clients, and you can see it says auto recharge for messaging charges under this account, renewal gutters, okay, $50. So I made that, but then you have to realize too that HighLevel is still billing me for the same thing, recharge for messaging charges under my account DDX Web, okay? And so really you're going to make the money on the split. So you're going to be paying for it, but then you're going to be making a profit on what they pay you. Okay, so don't be surprised. You're getting billed for this, but then you're making a markup on that. Okay. So I wanted to be upfront. Go ahead.
So I have a question for you, James.
Yeah.
Let's say on average, a local business, right? What can you really count for as far as billing revenue? Let's say a small dentist that has base level stuff. And let's also talk about a automotive dealership that may have 200 sales reps,
Right,
what are the variations that you would that you feel like we could make as far as just rebilling revenue?
You know, like this one I was showing you, it was really kind of minuscule, right?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's always nice to what on, like, you got to get it in place, because you hear stories about the people on the 297 plan, they're eating this cost. And they come in and they get a big client and they want to do a lot of texting.
You mean HighLevel's 297 plan?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because they don't have rebilling turned
They don't
on.
have rebilling. So they hear they've hooked a big fish of a client that wants to do a lot of this, and they're having to eat they could actually go negative in theory, right? On something like this. And so I kind of wanted this in place before. You want to understand how this all works, right? Before you get that client that's going to help make this all worth it and pay for it. So I know this
assume it's minuscule because you only have it at 2x.
Right. That's true. Right?
On a low usage account.
Low usage, it's just a nice thing that helps, helps pay for the software. Yeah. But
so what I've seen, James, is low usage accounts, a lot of the agencies go to 4x, 5x. Okay. And high usage accounts like dealership with heavy like sales reps all day long, making 30-minute phone calls all day long. Yeah. Those guys, they go down to 1.5x or 2x.
That makes
at volume, they're capturing a ton versus with just a little bit of dentists or chiropractors using it at automation. You still get a little bit. I mean, it's just another style, right?
I like that. Yeah, because your overall total won't be that big of a deal. We briefly covered it, but there is the ability to set your credits here too.
That's when they're starting out.
Yeah. It's a recurring monthly credit on your SaaS
toll system, right? Toll tag system, where if they hit that threshold, it just recharges them. Is that what happens?
Yeah. So you can give them 10 or 25 depending on the plan, and it won't. Yeah, you're basically going to cover that for them. So I personally don't, because like you just enabled a company to be able to start sending texting and stuff. Like that's a feature right away. Like that's just a personal preference. It might be a nice selling point to say, hey, yeah, we're going to throw in this many for free. But I think it's definitely something very valuable that they should be willing to pay for. So that's just a personal preference on my part. Did Dan have a question?
Yeah, guys and gals, feel free to turn your cameras on or your microphones on. With the pro group, we're pretty casual. There's no big agenda.
Yeah.
You guys are already on the plans.
Yeah.
Yeah. James, I did have a question, and it's on these complimentary credits.
Yeah.
Do they roll over?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing in some of my accounts that it looks like it does, but in others
it's not.
It doesn't. It's weird, because I have one guy that I'm giving him $10 a month, and I just looked in his balance, and his balance is like $25 of credits that he's got. And he doesn't use a ton, and I'm trying to figure out like how, but in other accounts it's not. So I'm trying to figure out, is that something I enabled or disabled?
Yeah, I guess you would keep an eye on that and see if it adds to it, and by the next month, by the same amount of the credit, you just got to keep an eye on that and kind of audit it that way.
Okay. And then let me ask you one other question while I'm here. If you don't include any credits, like what is that discussion in your plans? Like, oh, by the way, you have to pay for all your text messages.
Yes, perfect. Yeah, that's actually my next point, which is that I'm looking at this thing because someone's like, hey, like, what do these cost? And I really just wanted to like screenshot this thing, but you can see it's got a lot of internal information on there, right? It's got my profits and how much I'm charging them and my costs. I really don't want to make that public. And so I actually just whipped up like in a basic Paint editor thing. I put this on my like terms of service agreement here, just as an example of what you could do. And basically at the very end here, what I was thinking is I would have something like this, almost that same exact pricing sheet, but without the public information or the internal private information. So, hey, here's this. I had the slider drawn to 2x at this point. when I took the screenshot. Hey, here's your telephony charge. Here's the 20.026, 0.017. Here's an estimate of what $10 will give you, right? And it's an estimate. So if there's little things that are off, right, by region, or maybe you don't understand everything perfectly, you have a little bit of leeway there. And then I have my checkbox that says I've read and understand the terms, including the estimated telephony and email usage charges. I think you've kind of got to be upfront with. I think this is something nice to do for people, to just be upfront with your costs. And so that I was actually just the other day, I was asking in the group, like, it'd be so cool if we could have like a funnel element that we could just drag out onto our funnels that already had the slider, and just basically just compose that for us. But in the meantime, this is just an image element that I just flipped up quickly. And now I'm thinking about, I maybe would make another one similarly for mailgun charges. So that's how I kind of would have that conversation. And I don't think that this needs to be, you could have the person sold already to set up, kind of assume the sale. And then as they're onboarding, going through the fine print, here's some more fine print. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with that. I'm kind of curious where, like, if somebody comes on, for whatever, let's say they're coming on at like, your $297 SaaS plan or $347, like whatever your plan is. And one of the first things they want to do is like a big reactivation campaign or a big like review campaign. And depending on how your workflows with, follow-ups and reminders are, on top of your first month, they're like, yo, I just got $60 on top of messaging.
Yeah.
So that's why I was including some credits. And on top of that, maybe, or Paulson knows, once this new kind of Twilio setup rolls out, is that going to be different or easier?
Yeah, it'll be easier. But let me provide a comment on the first question you had,
okay,
which is how do you handle this conversation with the customer? Most of the customers in 2022, they're still new to the idea of a business to a person texting, right? For us today, if you're using Verizon or T-Mobile and you're doing person-to-person texting, it's all built in the plan. Somebody's paying for that. It's from your normal subscriptions to those providers. But we're not getting charged, like per texting. Everything's pretty much unlimited, and they're not like charging.
Yeah, I can send you 100 emojis. And
exactly. But do you remember like 10 years ago, we had to get a Verizon plan of like 100 text messages, and you got 12, you had 1,000 minutes and 100 text messages. And that's where we are with business to texting.
Yeah.
Right. To a business to a person texting. So I recommend asking them, hey, who's your texting provider for your business? Do you have anybody that you paid today for business to person texting? 95% of them are going to tell you, no, that's not something we've ever done. It's brand new. Any other software we ever used was already built in. So you tell them, hey, listen, to text a person from your business, companies like providers, Twilio, T-Mobile, Verizon, these types of providers will charge you separately. In our platform, it's already built in. And the best thing is you don't have to go sign up for anything else. It's already there. Here's what your numbers are going to be, and here's what your cost is going to be. And we'll be able to control the cost based on the campaigns that we build out together. Like, I would educate them on that sales front early on. And then to James's point of, after the sale, you can re-educate them on the fine printing if you want. But I don't recommend you not telling them and just letting them jump in, because if they do, and they're like an automotive dealership, some of them can run up to a couple of $1,000s because they
that I've definitely noticed that, and that's one of the reasons I was including some credits in my plans, so that in that initial part. And then I was just kind of wondering, for the people that aren't, like, what's that discussion like? Because some of the people that have no idea as far as, the texting, I don't want it to look like, hey, here's my monthly fee. And they're like, hey, Dan, I like your monthly fee, but your texting fee sucks.
Yeah, it depends on your brand positioning, right? Like, if I charged SaaS for like $1,000 a month, I'm not gonna feel comfortable about charging them $50 for the ice cream cone. Like I don't. I just want to give them it all of it together, and just charge them that flat fee. I possibly may not even do rebilling with the client that's at that level. But if I'm only charging $297 to $500 on a monthly level, I'm gonna more than likely charge them for mail gun, and it just depends on your package. There are a few companies in here that charge 5 to 10 grand a month for SaaS. For people like that, it's not a good feel. It's not a good brand positioning to be like, hey, we're going to send you a bill for $10 for Twilio charges. It just doesn't sit well, right? So it also depends on your positioning of your plans as well, Dan.
Yeah, okay,
good. That's really good.
I mean, you get what I'm saying though, right? Like that's a
yeah, I do. I just like in being, I think I came into HighLevel at the March. So it's just learning my way around. And again, with some of your clients, depending on, like I have 3 plans, and some of them, like they're not even hitting the $10 a month. I have other guys where I'm giving $25 a month, and they're pushing it depending on what kind of campaign we do. And that is what I brought up last week. Like when I was doing with one guy, it was $10 a month, but we did a big review campaign. So I think he got hit 3 times over the course of that campaign. And I was like, oh, no biggie. But that Twilio subscription fee, every time it got rebuilt, snuck up on me. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Like,
and
it's like 97 cents on top of.
Yeah. And one thing I've learned with account management is you want to have the least amount of transactions from a company to a company, right? Because more transactions, the more alert they are about finances being spent altogether, right? So like you don't want it to be where there's 10 transactions every single month and you have to explain every transaction. So that also matters on the usage, right? It's always better to be like one big swipe and we're all done, right? Like I'd rather have that conversation versus trying to explain $50 charges every three days,
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Let's continue, James, and we'll go to Eddie after that.
Okay, yeah, I'm actually ready to go to Eddie right now.
Oh, go ahead, Eddie. Eddie, you there?
Yes, thank you so much. Sorry, I had myself muted. I got all my kids home. Hey guys, one sec, please. I been selling more SaaS to people that aren't just like my DFY clients. I guess I have more of a hybrid agency model where I do like the Instagram and the Google ads and stuff. And then we offer SaaS to retain our clients. But what I've noticed is that with my rebilling, it's difficult for me to set the expectation for the people using it. Like I have one guy, he's using it for indoor sales team. And like you said, they make like short calls like, hey, can I schedule a call for you with such and such? But then I have other people who are like using them hardcore inside, like text messages inside of their like appointment reminders and like different functions like that. And so I've been hearing what you're saying. It's been difficult. Like my highest package is $497. Would you keep that at like a 2.5 or raise it to like a 5.0? Or just do it based off of the person, like negotiating with them?
Yeah, that's the tricky thing. So like in my situation, I've essentially hard coded, my price sheet here, and I haven't given myself that flexibility to cater to different customers. So that's a tricky one. I guess if you're doing your sales call and you had the different price sheets up and ready to go, and you say, hey, I think this guy will bite on 5X. I think that's the kind of business that he is. Then if you can pull up the 5X price sheet, talk about it and do it onesie twosie here and there. But yeah, I thought that was a great insight from Paulson, that these lower volume clients can probably tolerate the higher markup.
Yeah,
much better.
And also, Eddie, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Eddie, here's what I don't like about what you're saying. I don't want my salespeople to have to sell different numbers. You're not going to scale because they have to have different mentality, different scripting, different industries. Also, it's a problem. So I like the idea of one offer, one niche to $1 million or more. Like you don't need even 3 plans in SaaS to go far. Like I hate that we even offer the idea of 3 plans for you as a business. Like I want you guys to all just have one offer. Like that's my mentality. That's how I've always scaled. So Eddie, like to your my point to you would be like, if you had different usage billing, different usage plans, keep that to a minimum as you can. In the beginning, it's okay to just get a lot of case studies going, but it becomes a billing nightmare when you go further and further up, because SaaS, remember, like SaaS is not that hard to scale with volume. Like you can get 10, 15, 20 new SaaS clients where it's hard to get that many clients for the agency services. Right. Once you get the momentum going, you look at guys like Dar Holsworth, they're like in the hundreds in like no time. You look at Sean Greenway, like they're all scaling with a lot of momentum really quickly, which means you're going to have internal structural problems, meaning billing problems, account management problems, notification problems, contractual problems, affiliate problems. These are all things that it gets really difficult to manage, especially when you have variation up front facing the market, like billing variation, like or
yeah, that's why I got the HIPAA yesterday, because my agency worked with mostly doctors and naturopaths and stuff, and so I figured if I got the HIPAA, that would help me eliminate what you said about the different niches, like just being like a ERM provider to like doctors. Good. And then I wouldn't have to worry about the indoor sales teams here and there, unless they got it, you know?
Yeah, and the cool thing about that is if you pick like chiropractors, for example, it doesn't matter how big they are, small they are, they're going to have similar usage at the range that we're thinking about, right? Like you're not going to go drastically into thousands. You're not going to go below like 100. Like you're going to find like a sweet spot in that industry. And then at that point, you can decide whether you want a 3X or 4X or 5X your rebilling, including Mailgun. Like until then, like if you're under 100 subscribers, I like to think you're in beta respectfully, everybody, because you haven't had enough tickets. You haven't had enough customer service tickets to be able to really iron out your offers, iron out their experience, iron out their usage. Right. And that's the way I always recommend it. But Eddie, I think it's a really smart thing for you to go into a single industry. And I like James's idea of a set number that you start off with contractually, so you don't really have too much variation either.
Yeah, I just think it's good to be upfront with them about something like that. That's a little bit, not that visible. Let's go ahead and take Bernardo's question. I see Bonnie has raised her hand as well. So Bernardo, how can we help you today?
All right. So I mean, I like the fact that trying to simplify a process, and when you were talking about like, the good old days of having to get 1,000 minutes and, a bunch of like 5 text messages and then that's it for you, bro. But so is there a way to pull like, say, statistics on, the average calls or text messages and emails that like, say, maybe a solo person would send out or a small team, and then more of an enterprise? Because then I feel like if you don't even I guess market it as having to, have the different levels, or, like having those conversations about, sending a $10 bill and all that stuff. Instead, just like how it is for getting a cell phone nowadays, everything's unlimited. So it's just the way to market it is like, oh, this is unlimited. So how much credit you need to apply towards, each, I guess,
right, you're saying you're getting billed individual things, but what if you could put together a package that is, hey, this is kind of your, I just think that's kind of dangerous because of the variability, and once a company's growing and scaling, like they could be, you could regret that. I think I'd just rather take my markup and encourage them to grow and scale. I don't know, Paulson, if you want to weigh in on that.
Yeah, there's too much variability. Like if I go to James Hurst or someone along those lines, their automations are going to be gigantic because they have so much expertise in the system. If you ask me to set up a follow-up process for a client, it's going to have 2 things, and it's going to be a disruptive 2 messages to get them engaged, and that's it. Like, so my setup could be completely like very minimalistic versus someone like James. So, people build out a 52-week, 365-day follow-up system, and then your usage billing could be drastically different. So that's one
Yeah.
thing you want to pay attention to. The
So how
other
much would
is
that cost though? Like, I'm just out of curiosity, right? So James, like if you have something like that, how much would that 52-week, 365, all that good stuff, like how much would you would estimate that cost to be? So then if just looking at it on a grand scheme, and so that'd be for like an enterprise type level where, the amount that's being paid plus when they start adding, any employees to their, like just adding seats. So not only is it paying for the overarching, like, as it goes, but for the seats that come in, they're now covering down on a little bit more of those costs. You see what I'm saying? So I'm trying to figure out a way that
if we got a worst case scenario.
yeah. So then like there's no way to go wrong with it, if you just have it on the high side, because if people are already charging, like you're saying, if you're charging $5,000-$10,000, you don't even want to have that discussion. You just want it to be billed and that's it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, in that case, you're doing the exact same thing of what I'm trying to get at, just
Yeah,
for like the
I can tell
individual to
you.
figure out that pricing.
Yeah, I can tell you with my automotive agency, we had 2 to 3 sales reps per account, and the automotive dealerships had pretty significant use. And each one, we were spending about $150 to $160 with extremely aggressive follow-up. And that was with my automotive agency. With
Okay.
my dental agency, it was like less than $9 a month, So,
Right.
and that was per account, just so you know.
So I mean, they do kind of give you this that slide. I think this is supposed to be helpful, right? The $10 will give you about, right? So 385 calls for $10. $100 would give you
Maybe go to 10x.
4,000 calls. What's that?
Maybe go to 10x.
Okay.
And what's the worst case scenario?
$10 gives you 75 calls. $100 gives you 750 calls.
Yeah.
So the other thing I was going to say is like nothing like previous history, right? If I was going to do that, I would export these records here for a month's worth and just go look at it. You can see this one. It's just pennies, right? It's just not much to write home about.
Yeah.
I do want to mention one thing, which there was a question on. I think phone numbers are $1 a month, and it doesn't look like we are taking a markup right now of phone numbers. So maybe that's something, if that was intended to be that way. So that in theory, that should say $2 a month. I know that was discussed on the last town hall. They wanted to know if we wanted to charge voicemails at a certain multiple, phone numbers at a certain multiple, email, text, etc. Right now, it's just across the board.
Yeah. Bernardo, just to give you another example, over the weekend, one of the customers' accounts, they were redoing the tagging, right? So if you don't know what you're doing on tagging, when you remove all the tagging and add them to a new tagging because of naming convention, you can easily fire off text messages that's in a workflow. So like 800 people in an account got new leads, new DBR messages because the tagging wasn't done properly, and 800 text messages went out in like 2 minutes, right? And nobody caught it. And we looked at Twilio, it's like $6. That was all that was charged. And like
that's not really too bad if you think about it. So I mean, that's the reason why I was kind of wondering, I'd rather say for everybody across the board, it doesn't matter where you're at on, say, level of subscription, you're getting unlimited just for the sake of making it an all-inclusive type of deal. I feel like it would incentivize people a little bit more, and again, getting away from those types of conversations. And plus, if it's pennies compared to what you're bringing in overall, for the bigger picture, then I just feel like it shouldn't matter then. So I'm just kind of curious, it's me and my ADHD brain with Adderall and caffeine.
No, I think you have fair questions. Also, the other thing is with Twilio ISV that we're about to launch, we're in beta, we're almost done. What's going to happen is Twilio and HighLevel are going to sync up a deal together to make these baseline numbers a whole lot cheaper for you as an agency owner. Plus, in addition, you don't have to worry about setting up any Twilio accounts anymore. It'll
Mm.
all just be done through internally HighLevel. You already know these systems are already happening, so you know the back end of it. But at the end of the day, we're working on striking a deal with Twilio because of the amount of global usage we have. I think we rose to like number 2 in the world for
Wow.
Twilio usage in just from that workabout. Just because right now the world is like 15,000 agencies individually have Twilio deals, right? That's the way, and we're just one of them. But now we're combining all of that into one big, one big account under HighLevel, where you guys are going to all basically get deals through HighLevel at a significantly lower cost, from what I understand. Plus, you'll have more freedom and usage and regulatory stuff that's even a little bit more flexible, from what I understand from our usage. So it's going to be even easier, where you never even have to go to Twilio or even sign up for an account pretty soon. I think in like 2 or 3 quarters, from what I understand.
Awesome.
Is there going to be any like maybe segment I guess capability as well? Because I mean, I know that's a different, well, something else that you can add to your Twilio. So I'm just kind of curious on the other things that like the services provided. Oh,
I don't know. I don't want to speak specifically to it. I just
Yeah.
know that these initiatives that are happening, I would say jump on the town hall meetings and you'll get more detailed like questions answered. I don't know.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
definitely
know.
not the techie guy.
gotcha. I'm just the asking questions guy. I do a lot of it. So my bad. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I just don't want to misguide you. But
No, you're good.
James,
Thank you
let's
so
go
much.
back to Bonnie and let's go
Bonnie.
back to your Bonnie. What was your question?
Yes, so I'm in the beta phase, you know that also. So for chiropractors, one thing that you mentioned, minimalistic and stick to one offer. So in other words, when I'm configuring, I mean, just the 297, when I actually get it, you mentioned all the time 297. So eliminate the other 2, which is 197 and 497, 297. Okay. Now the recommended one is 297, and they have a recommended markup for Twilio. Since I'm in the beta phase, Paulson, it doesn't make any sense for me to bring it 4x, 5x, because I don't even know what their needs would be at this stage, right?
Yeah, you want to first verify the offer before you can
Yeah.
create expansion revenue on that offer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that will be done in the beta phase when I'm getting the feedback
Yeah.
from them.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
got it.
So
But-
and what Bonnie's talking about is her beta
Yeah.
for her SaaS
Yeah.
launch.
Yes, because I'm a very much new, well, relatively new, but I'm in the beta phase. I don't even have the one chiropractor yet, so I'm in the beta phase. That's what I was just saying. Thanks.
Yeah,
I mean,
would
would you think? I mean, it couldn't hurt to throw it on 2x, right? Might as well put that in place, right?
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it hurts because I don't think your chiropractors will have heavy usage. Like they're not known to have, like they're not gonna, unless you build like this crazy automation that nobody's ever seen, which I don't recommend in beta anyway. But like, yeah, I think it'll be very minimal. But you want to get into the practice of explaining to them that there is a text fee, right?
Yes, but when I start having conversation with them and to get their feedback, I think initially, do I just move it to 2x or do it as I go along? Because right now I have no clue.
Yeah.
Right. What do you think, James?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
So the question is that in the beginning, do I just leave it as 1x when I actually haven't had a conversation with them? Or I move it to 2x once I've had that conversation to gain clarity?
I like the idea of setting it at 2x now, getting your little pricing sheet made up and saying, this is the price.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then you're forcing yourself to be familiar with the whole system and not ignoring that profit center.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Imagine if they said yes to that 1x. You're gonna have to now go back and do another sales cycle for the texting offer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would at least do 2x out the gate.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Good.
This is good. These are great questions, guys. Just so you know, you're not slowing us down. You're actually contributing to the conversation, everybody.
For sure. I'm actually covered most everything.
Okay.
So
James, let's do this. How do you recommend your billing? Like, how do you charge $297? Do you charge $497?
Right.
What is SaaS billing practices you recommend just out the gate for people?
right. So, your first one, you just want to make that first sale, right? Like, I'll give away the whole farm for $97, right? Like, if you're brand new to this, that's what my first sale was. I believe it was 97. I gave them the whole thing. Because I was on the 297 plan, I didn't have the fancy configurator. I didn't want to go in and flip all the switches. So yeah, I mean, just you want to make that first sale, first couple sales, get that thing paying for itself. You can see today what mine is. It's basically the recommended. It's the 197, 297, 497, right? You saw one of my other clients, he was at 147. This whole system, I mean, it's super, super valuable. You have to be convinced of that yourself, right? Before you can go and present that to others. But this thing is just so powerful, so helpful to a company. I think it's easily worth 297, right? And then yeah, 297 on up if you're going to unlock everything. But you know, I don't have hundreds of clients myself. I'm not that far down the road from I'm not a DAR, you know, I'm kind of a low touch kind of thing right now with some clients. I do a lot for a few number of clients. So hope that helps.
No, this absolutely helps. Anybody else have any questions around this? Anybody want to contribute to the conversation that we might have missed?
I have one question.
Yeah, Tyler is asking, one second, whoever that was.
Was it Eddie?
Tyler's asking, how does the Twilio rebilling show up on our clients' credit card statements?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know from that perspective. I assume it just looks like a Stripe receipt, like I've shown. I assume
from what I know, it's just it looks like a Stripe transaction, just like your
just like
debit card
this.
account. Yeah, they'll just see it. It's just kind of like Facebook ad charges. They'll just see a bunch of sporadic numbers.
Yeah,
I understand.
Also, just one. I don't know if this is encouraging or not, but like I know, like doesn't everyone want to like get 10 clients a month, 50, you know, and just do the scale thing and go crazy? I just personally, you know, I love this industry, and I just know whether it's a referral or whether it's a client, if I just put one foot in front of the other. I know this is not popular or the you know, the cool way to do it, but I just know that recurring revenue is the model that you want to be on. And so I would say don't shy away from, we have one client a month, and the next, you know, in a year you'll be at 12, 24. You can play the slow long game with this and be super successful, I think. And that's kind of the game I'm on personally. And I've been sitting on the sidelines before, just watching and hearing people talk about it. And at least when you have a few clients, you're in the game, there's a long learning curve with this whole thing. And then you'll be through it, and then you'll be in a position to know what it will take to scale. I think there's a long learning curve on this whole thing, but it's the right learning curve to be on. I hope that helps.
To your point, James, the learning curve is learning how to think like a software company versus an agency.
Yeah.
Those are two different things.
Two different things.
Different customer experiences, two different sales processes, two different positioning. Your competitive landscape is different. The people that you're going against is different. Your offer has to be different. So there is 100%. There's definitely a lot of different variables and variation to this. But we do believe that this model is the long-term, more healthier book of business for a company. Like it's 100%. So much more vital versus a standard agency that you're going to lose clients on every 3 months. Any other questions, guys?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go for it.
I know that you had covered this before, and this isn't about SMS marketing, more in terms of strategy. But with that terms of services, I have a terms of services, but I don't have it to where they like sign it and check it like you did.
Yeah.
Is that a page that you built on HighLevel? Because that looks familiar with the signature form after or before they pay.
Yeah, that's just a GoHighLevel form and a custom field. Now, I will say that, like a contract software, they're going to be like capturing the IP address and like they're going to have turned that into a PDF that kind of can't be edited. This is not going to hold up that well, but it sure looks a little more official than just here's your account, like let's go, right? So, and in worst case, you do have a signature, and but it just kind of shows up as a custom field on the contact record. But I was going to go this route with it myself.
It's an accountability thing. It's not even about like
contract.
What are you going to do? Hold them hostage so to force them to use your platform, right? Like,
yeah,
they're going to.
I wasn't sure if it was like regulatory or not, or like compliance wise.
I mean,
like you have
honestly, I think this is actually a little bit more than what you might see with a lot of other vendors, right? You don't sign anything away when you start Netflix or there's usually a typical little terms and conditions box.
Yeah.
That you check.
Yeah. Even on Apple, you just press the little agree button to give away all your information on your iOS.
Cool.
I had a quick one. I know we can, could set the Twilio rebilling rate, of course, across our whole accounts. But let's say, well, me, for example, I'm dealing with small reno companies, flooring companies. But I also have a very deep specialty with car dealerships. So, I do plan to get into that niche or take some in, a little bit down the road. But let's say I did, I'm going to have my rate turned up fairly high for the flooring because they're sending low numbers. And if I wanted to turn it down just for one dealership to be a little bit more reasonable, can we turn down just that one account,
That's
manually?
Right.
Or is it boom all the way across?
Nope. That is a great question. We did cover it at the beginning of the call, but we'll just hit it up one last time again. So basically what you do is you go to your agency view, right? And then you go to accounts. So at the SaaS configurator, I get for being
10 minutes late.
Yeah, at the SaaS configurator level, that's where you can set it at the master level, right? Across all accounts. But if you need the one-off, then you would actually go to accounts and search for your location, and then go to view details, and you'll go and scroll down, and there's your slider for that individual customer.
I see. Okay, thanks.
So, yep, and they have email as well.
Right on.
Yeah, James, you know what's crazy? I never realized you can turn on rebilling without adding them to a SaaS plan that you sign up through, which is crazy to me. Like anybody should just upgrade to Pro, even if you're not going to do SaaS, just for the rebilling.
Just for the rebilling. Yeah. Yeah.
I learned something new from what you showed. Like that's interesting. Tyler, any follow-up to that?
No, I'll probably just do a little experiment with one of my better rapport clients and see what it actually does show up like on their credit card statement. Like, is it just added to the amount I already run for them and it's all in one, or does it split out? Does it say Twilio? Does it say my agency?
Yeah. Whatever account you have set up for your own agency, you can add that to the SaaS plan and just set up your own billing for your own self and just refund yourself on Stripe.
Yes.
Yeah, you could set up a sub account for yourself and then charge yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you let us know, post a screenshot in the group. I would be curious to see what that looks like. I know when you're setting up a new Stripe product, you have a chance to put in that little credit card statement descriptor, right? But I don't know what that looks like on the rebilling side of things.
Yeah, I don't either. I wonder what it shows.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it's white labeled statements. I don't think it says high-level text messaging charges for your sub account.
Yeah, no, I doubt it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Dan, were you gonna ask another question?
Yeah, and I actually wanted to ask you this. When we get to the new like Twilio ISV model, and you said that will automatically create sub accounts. Will they be billed, like if we want to set it up where they're billed directly from Twilio, will that be part of that?
I don't know what the transition looks like in adopting existing accounts into that model.
Okay.
So I don't want to speak onto that. I think you'll be able to sign up accounts for it. I don't think it will be just like automatically, 180,000 Twilio sub accounts just moving over one click. Like,
Well, what I'm wondering is like, will it, they not have to go and, put their credit card info into Twilio? Like, can we just?
They would have to do that with you, not necessarily Twilio, from what I know.
Okay.
That's how it is today. With they're paying my agency.
Yeah.
Right. Not Twilio. They're paying my agency.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking like for some people with some volume, I want to move it over to Twilio, because I don't want them to view, if they have a lot of text messages, whatever the costs are, is, hey, he's expensive. I don't care if they think Twilio is expensive, because if they shop around, they're not going to find anything. But if, it's my monthly fee and then they're getting rebilled for whatever, because Twilio charges, depending on who you're dealing with, can add up. And I'd rather them see, it's Twilio that looks expensive. And with the new model, if there's a way to pass that discount on and they just get billed through Twilio, or even if there's not a way to pass it on, because I know some agencies just set them up directly with Twilio, directly with Mailgun. So that way, my monthly fee, they see the value in it and they don't start to look, well, it's your monthly fee plus, and it gives them an idea. Like, I'd rather them see Twilio as the expensive part, not me.
Yeah. And to be frank, Dan, if I get a prospect or a customer that understands the difference between HighLevel and Twilio, they're automatically too techie for me. I'm gonna shoot an affiliate link to them instead of SaaS. Like they already know.
Point.
They already know deep into the weeds of how systems work, or they have time for that, right? So someone like that, I would shoot them a custom built snapshot or something and say, "Hey, come under my affiliate plan. You can set up your own SaaS. Go directly to Twilio. Drink from the same well I'm drinking. Here's how I can set it up for you." Like that person doesn't qualify for SaaS in my mind. It's more of an affiliate play.
The other thought that I had was the only people setting up their own Twilio account, it's probably the 297 plan people, because they're the ones that don't want to have that chance that they're going to run up a bill.
Yeah.
Whereas we want them to run up a bill when you're on the 497 plan, because you're going to take a markup of that.
Yeah, which they typically haven't felt the sting of losing out on the revenue of rebilling, right? That's why they're just inexperienced of understanding the potential of rebilling, and that's why they go down that route in the beginning. But then they all switch over at some point.
Yeah, I guess it's a perspective thing, because like I know some people, like, when you're getting into, if you're going to, like, when you're talking about scaling fast, if you're getting to that point, and depending on what kind of client you're bringing on, if you're bringing on like a 397 or 497, depending on how many leads they're getting, I'm thinking I might just say, hey, I'd rather it be you pay Twilio and not my extra at the rebilling.
I mean, you can set them at 1x if you want them to.
That's true.
You don't have to charge them extra. You can give them the same number.
Oh, I'm aware of that. I just, like I said, I in some instances I would almost rather them look at, well, it's Twilio that's costing, and if they shop it, where are they going to go? Like that, it's one less conversation you might have to have.
Yeah. Remember, they love HighLevel so much that they're gonna have to find another solution that integrates with HighLevel, which doesn't exist. So
Right.
Even if they did find something, remember, no other system's gonna centralize their sales process.
Oh, I'm not worried about that. I'm just wondering, when that new ISV comes out, will we be able to just, hey, put them over, like they see the bill from Twilio, not us. If not, then, you have to go into Twilio and do it that way.
I don't think even when we go down the path of centralized Twilio, it's not gonna say Twilio charges.
Okay.
It's just gonna probably say HighLevel charges. And then at that point, you're gonna have to consider wanting to go into white labeling the whole thing if you want to. But
Okay.
I don't see us getting to a world of like, here's Twilio charges for you outside of your agency. Like, I don't think we'll put that predicament on the agencies.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's too early. Like, I don't want to, prophesy.
Hey, well, this was a great session, guys. I think that we got a lot of good stuff covered today. So I appreciate everyone tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you, James. I literally reached out to you yesterday and you said yes for today. And definitely appreciate your last minute willingness to just share things from your account, what you're seeing. And, if there's any other questions, James, how can people find you, your personal profile? If they want to reach out to you, do you have a group? Do you have a resource or whatever?
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm active on Messenger. You see me in the group answering questions. You can just send me a DM on Messenger. My YouTube channel, the name of it is The Marketing Show, and I've got a whole entire playlist of a lot of good little GoHighLevel trainings. But yeah, I'm just there on Facebook all the time.
All right, everybody. I think we're gonna go ahead and call it a day. Thank you, James. I appreciate your time.
You bet. See you guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, Dan. Bye.